you, woo, that man is fine. Your heart is telling you, woo, that woman is fine. My brother. Oh, look at her butt. When every woman on earth got a butt. Everybody's butt may not be shaped alike, but everybody got something to sit on. God gave everybody something to sit on. Or the devil might be telling you, look at her face. Right? Ain't she fine? Yeah, to all that mess come off at the end of the night. Either in the sink or on the pillow. Now, how fine is she to you now? See, the devil would create an illusion for you, my brother and my sister. But everybody that you cross paths with, I believe, is for a reason. It's to teach you something. Don't be surface level thinking folks. You got to go in depth when it pertains to allowing people into your life and intertwining their spirit with your spirit, intertwining their lives with your lives, even intertwining their family members with your family members, because just because you love him don't mean your families are going to love each other. And that's how family feuds get started. But to be honest, really, family feuds get started when the two people involve their families in their relationship. Because people are going to side with the person that is of their bloodline. And now they feel like, now you got a whole family feud. They're going to feel like they got to get involved and start a war with the opposite family just because of two people not getting along. What started off as a little kindling like a fire, is now a full-fledged blaze. I know what I'm talking about. You got to keep your families out of your relationships. Take it to God and keep them out of it. Because if you take your problems to them, they're going to get involved. Then couldn't this guy get involved. And then couldn't that guy get involved. And this thing you know is a full-fledged family feud. When everything could have been settled in a peaceful manner by taking it to the Almighty God that can do anything and everything but fail. But people don't think like that a lot of times. Because one of the first things you want to do when somebody rubs you the wrong way is go vent to somebody else. And that's natural. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. But there could be some consequences behind doing that. And I think everybody's done it. I don't think there's a person in this world that's been in a relationship and then want to find somebody to confide in and tell somebody about what the person that they're involved with did to them. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. The only thing I'm saying is be careful about doing things like that. Because for the person that you're confiding in, they've got somebody that they confide in. And then for the person that they confide in, they've got somebody that they confide in. And next thing you know, everybody know what's going on in your marriage and in your relationship. Or if it's not a marriage. But even with that, it happened for a reason. To teach you. To keep the matters of your relationship private. Disputes, arguments, disagreements, even if it's a knockout, drag out. And I don't condone violence in no way, shape, or form. But even with that, you know what? I'm not saying don't speak out about domestic violence. I'm not talking about it like that. Okay, so don't misinterpret me with that. But what I'm saying is, y'all can get the gist of what I'm saying. Little spat, I would keep that private. Because a little spat that started off as like a little flame can turn into an entire inferno when the wrong folks put their mouth in it and get involved. Oh my God. Am I talking to somebody out there? I'm going a little around the board, but I try to pack as much into these conferences as I can because when I talk, I know what I'm talking about. And I don't really go into detail as to how I know, but I just put out what I've learned from either observing other people's lives or even things that have come towards me in my life. See, that's how we teach other people. Each one teach one. Because when the devil has tried you, then you can take what the devil thought he was going to conquer you with and didn't, and you can teach somebody else who may be in that situation or has been in that situation or will be in that situation going forward. And I'm not saying that everything that I speak on I've experienced, no. But I've seen other people deal with it. And so I can talk about it. And I don't exploit people or anything like that. I don't believe in stuff like that. But when I open my mouth, I know what I am talking about. If I didn't, I'd keep it shut. I would keep it shut. Because there's nothing that I say I cannot back up, whether it be biblical or even if it just be a situation. I can back that thing up. Even as it pertains to if it's my enemies coming at me and I say something that they either did towards me or other people, I'll back that thing up. I know what I'm talking about. Especially if it pertains to relationships and keeping people out of your business. I know what I'm talking about. If it pertains to you all befriending people or dating people that are connected to your enemies or friends with even one of your enemies, and I'm saying that's a mistake, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about because there are people out there that will try to play both sides of the fence. That is a disloyal person. You don't need to deal with them. They don't need to be at your house. You don't need to be at their house. They don't need to be on your car. You don't need to be on theirs. You don't need no affiliation with nobody that is connected with people that you know don't like you. I know what I'm talking about. And even though you can never really fully know who knows who, just like the person that might be friends with you, they don't know who all your enemies are. But I will say when it is brought to your attention that they are connected to one of your enemies, it depending upon what relationship you have with that person, you need to let them know. You need to let them know. And don't pressure them to side with you nor with your enemy. See how they move on their own. And then after you see how they move on their own, then let that be the determining factor as to whether or not you want somebody like that in your life. And like that could be good or like that could be bad. If they stay connected to your enemies, discard them. If they distance themselves from your enemies, then you can keep them. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what it is. I know what I'm talking about. No man can serve two masters. If that's your friend and they are connected to your enemies, that's not your friend. And by connected, I'm not talking about if it's a business setting. Because in a business setting, everybody has to deal sometimes. But I'm talking about if it's your show enough enemies, and you show enough got a good friend right here, and that good friend comes over your house, eat at your table, watch your TV, hang out at night when they ain't got nothing to do, but I'm coming over and hang out with you because I'm bored, they got nothing to do, and they come in, key. How you doing? Sit down, let's watch a movie, let's order pizza. And then that next weekend, somebody who they know despise you, they're over there drinking and smoking and kicking it with them. That is not your friend. Because when your friend get around your enemies will be trash talking you. How can your friend sit up under that if they love you? Is it making sense now? All right. But everybody that you cross paths with is for a reason. Don't ever look at a Judas as conquering you. You need to look at yourself as conquering Judas. You understand what I'm saying? You must remember that at the end of the day, Judas went out and hung himself. What's the subliminal messaging in that? When people try to double cross you, they have already hung themselves. Can I talk about it? The moment that they purpose in their heart to target you, they hung themselves. As it pertains to relationships, when they asked you out on a date, knowing they were not about that life, they hung themselves. When they brought you flowers, they hung themselves. When they brought you candy, they hung themselves. When they gave you money, go out to the mall and buy whatever you want, they hung themselves because they knew they were not about that life. That was bait. That was love bombing. When they gave you an engagement ring, they hung themselves because they knew they weren't about that life. They knew that they were not going to leave the single life to act like a married man or a married woman. They hung themselves. The simple fact that they came and stood up in your face